Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1669A, and today's date is September 20th, 2018, and the title of the episode is, The Message Has Been Sent, Globalism is Over, Everything is About to Change. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Harley Schlanger. All you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It will bring you to the interview, or you can come over to the X22Report.com or NewsSentinel.com sites. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You can play the interview right on the site, or you can go to Steemit, that is steemit.com/@X22Report, and you can play it right on Steemit. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we've been talking about how Trump has been implementing all these tariffs, renegotiating trade deals, getting rid of trade deals, and this is because he is continually removing globalism from the picture. And today he actually came out and actually said this. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But let's go into what is happening out in the UK, because right now we can see there is no deal whatsoever. The EU is pushing back. The head of the European Council, Donald Tusk, declared that Theresa May's proposal on this economic partnership with the EU post-Brexit will not work, and that the proposed plans risk undermining the EU's single market. Now, the main sticking point has emerged. May has claimed that her proposals were the only serious, credible way to avoid a hard border in Northern Ireland. She said during a press conference that after the Salzburg meeting that she would not accept the EU's backstop plan to avoid a Northern Ireland hard border. She said the UK would shortly be bringing forward its own proposals. And she's also saying that it looks like we might have a hard break from the EU. Now, we know the central bankers, they do not want this to happen. They're going to push back until the very end, and we know the Brexit is supposed to happen in 2019. We'll see if that actually happens. Remember, the central banks have been threatening that if the UK pulls away, the economy is going to crash, but the banks will be okay. And of course, the banks are part of the central banking system. We can see that they don't want any country to leave their system, and they're going to do whatever they possibly can to keep the UK in the EU. And will it work? Maybe, maybe not. But if the UK, or when the UK does remove itself from the EU, other countries are going to say, you know something, maybe we should follow suit, and maybe we should use our national currency instead. And Russia has been calling for this. And I think many of the countries out there are starting to wake up, and we might see many more countries follow in the footsteps of the UK. Here in the US, we see initial jobless claims. They have now plunged to the lowest point that we've seen in a very, very long time. How low are they? Well, they're at the levels from 1969. And remember what happened after that? Well, a recession broke out. And if you look back in time, you can see that each time initial jobless claims reached a very low point, we entered a recession. And we haven't seen anything like this in a very long time. And what this tells us is that the manipulation of unemployment, manipulation of GDP, manipulation of pretty much everything is allowing the economy to look like it's better than we've ever seen it. I mean, think about it. We're down to 1969 levels, and our population is much, much larger. And this should show you something, because we know there's hundreds of millions of people that are completely out of work. But once again, with manipulating statistical information, you can make the economy look any way you want. The problem is the real economy continually breaks apart. This is why they couldn't manipulate the retail market. And they had to say, oh, it was the weather. No, it's Amazon. No, it's online. No, it's everything. Because those things like housing, when that starts to break down, you can't explain it away with statistical manipulation. Yes, you can manipulate certain cities, but the whole country is not 20 cities. The country is made up of a lot more than that. And we see, and every day that passes, we see that home sales, they're continually declining. I mean, in August, the existing home sales were completely unchanged. They thought they were going to go up by 0.5%. So they're still negative 0.7% from July. Nothing has improved here. And the Fed is continually raising rates. This is all part of the plan, by the way. And we discussed this many times before. Yes, I know Trump is out there telling everyone the economy is great. But again, this is the strategy that they are using. They're using all the manipulation tactics that they used in the past, and they need to make the economy look like it's better than ever. This way, they cannot be blamed. It removes it from the table where, we have to blame Trump for the economy failing. They can't even do it right now. It's completely impossible. So when we look at this, we see the median prices, they dipped for the second month in a row. The West saw a 5.9% slump month on month in existing homes. The Northeast, they rose about 7.6%. And again, depending on what city you're in and where you are, this is how they're calculating these numbers. But when you take an overall look of the country, and in many different areas outside of the Case-Shiller 20 cities, you can see that everything is not going well. And as the interest rates continually move up, we're going to see a lot of people out of the market. And that's what we're seeing. We see a study from Bankrate.com, and they're suggesting that millions of Americans are going to tap into their equity in their homes. Now remember, the central bankers, they have inflated these bubbles so people think they have money in their homes. I mean, this happened prior to 2008. People were using their homes like ATM machines. And then when the market fell, everyone was underwater. So according to the survey, 24 million Americans believe borrowing against their homes is an appropriate option for paying their monthly bills and other household expenses. For most Americans, the reasons for this are self-evident. Stagnant wages, declining wages, and climbing prices, and excessive debt burdens, which are tied to student loans, credit cards, and other things. So people are looking at their home saying, okay, we got all this equity. The real estate market looks like it's doing well. Let's take money out of the house and use it to pay some bills. This is going to be another disaster. Because what we need to understand here is that if people have to go into their homes to pay bills, to pay for certain things, that means the jobs they have are not that great. That means their wages are not going up. That means they have too much debt. That means inflation is starting to hit. And that's exactly what we're seeing. And this next downturn is going to surprise many, many people. Global markets right now, they've grown way too big. Today, the markets are even larger, having grown 360% of global GDP, which is a record high. Over the past decade, the world's largest central bank in the United States, Europe, China, and Japan, they have expanded their balance sheets from less than $5 trillion to more than $17 trillion in an effort to promote the recovery. And much of that is newly printed money. And it's found its way into the financial markets, where it as often follows the path of least regulation. One of the big corporate risks is developing largely beyond regulatory oversight. Some United States companies that were publicly traded in 2008 have gone private, often precisely in order to avoid intensified scrutiny from regulators. Many of those companies were purchased by private equity firms in deals that leave the companies saddled with huge debts. Right now, the typical American company owned by a private equity firm has debt 6 times higher than its annual earnings, or twice the level that a public rating agency would consider high risk or junk. The biggest risk outside the United States are in China, which has printed by far the most money and issued by far the most debt of any country since 2008, and where regulators have had less success reining in borrowers and lenders. The Fed's tightening is already rattling emerging markets. This system is ripe to come down. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Just like prior to 2008, people just didn't know it. You had to look behind the curtain. You look behind the curtain, you can see all those, securities, they were complete garbage. Most of the people in those were in default. But nobody knew about it. Why? Because they were rated AAA. No one realized it. And this is the problem right now. And this is why Trump's plan and the Patriots' plan is to build the statistical numbers up like they've done in the past to heights that we've never seen before, to make it look like the economy is fantastic. This removes the ability for the deep state, the central bankers, to blame the crash on Trump. He's also, with the help of many others, set up two narratives right now. I do believe Powell's working with him, raising the interest rates. Can blame it on the central bank. And when the declassification comes out, this will be bad news, and if markets start to fall and things start to fall apart, you can blame it on that. It won't be blamed on him because he's just presenting the truth to the people. The corrupt people brought down the system. And Trump, from everything that he's been doing with tariffs and whatnot, removing the trade deals, he's been getting rid of the global trading system. And today he tweeted out, and this is a clear message about globalism. There is no such thing as a global anthem, a global currency, or a global flag. This is the United States of America that I am representing, President Trump. Agreed? Yes. There is no such thing as a global anthem. This is what the New World Order wanted. There's no such thing as a global currency. This is what the central banks wanted. There is no such thing as a global flag. This is what the United Nations won. And you put all that together, this was their plan. He just let everyone know that globalism is over. The one world government thing that they were planning on, completely done for, done with, over, kaput. That's it. Not happening. So where do we go from here? Everything right now is being rearranged. The furniture is being rearranged for the new system. Getting rid of the old deals, putting pressure on other countries to have better bilateral trades with the United States. Remember, every time Trump talks about China, he's not talking about China, the country. He's talking about the deals that were made from the other administrations, the deep state party, with other individuals in China, to allow China to become the next powerhouse, to become the next power. This is why manufacturing was moved over here. This is why the trading systems were created there. This is why the Shanghai Gold Exchange was moved into there. This is why the payment systems were moved into there. This was their plan. And to make it very lopsided where, the Chinese made out and the U.S. did not, this was part of the plan. And these individuals did this to many, many countries where the U.S. never made out on the deal. And I'm not talking about the deep state, the central bank. They always made out on the deal. I'm talking about the people of the United States. Because trade with many of these countries, we were not making out on this deal because we're engulfed in their system. Now we're going to be breaking free of this system. And this is what this is all about. This is why these tariffs are being put into place. It's removing everything that they did and forcing everything to come back here or to make it an even playing field. Because after this transition, we know what's going to happen. We know that there's going to be a reset of government, reset of the economy, reset of the rule of law, reset of everything. And everything has to be put into place. So right now, Trump's sending the message out there, globalism is over. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.